Hey everyone, and welcome back to our AP World History Review. Today, we're wrapping up Unit 5 by diving into Topic 10, Continuity and Change in the Industrial Age. This is a super important topic because it pulls together everything we learned about industrialization and shows its lasting impact. We'll look at what dramatically changed and what surprisingly stayed the same. Ready? Let's get into it. First, let's talk about the massive changes. The Industrial Revolution completely reshaped societies. The most obvious change was in the economy. We moved from agrarian, small-scale production to factory-based mass production. This created a new global economy centered around manufacturing, raw materials, and new markets. Think about Britain's textile mills needing cotton from the Americas and Egypt, and then selling finished cloth to India. This economic shift was unprecedented and connected the world in a whole new and often unequal way. This economic transformation fueled huge social changes. Urbanization was a big one. For the first time in history, large populations began to live in cities rather than the countryside. This led to the rise of new social classes. The industrial middle class, or bourgeois factory owners, bankers, merchants grew in wealth and power, often challenging the old landed aristocracy. Below them, a new massive urban working class, the proletariat, emerged. Their lives were defined by wage labor in factories and mines, often in harsh and dangerous conditions. Family structures changed too. In pre-industrial times, families often worked together as an economic unit. Now, work and home life were separated. Men went to the factory, while a cult of domesticity idealized women's roles as homemakers, especially in the middle class. For working-class women, however, they often had to work in factories and manage the home. A grueling double burden. The political landscape was also rocked by industrialization. New political ideologies were born from these new social realities. Liberalism, championing ideas of individual rights and free markets, became the creed of the middle class. In response to the hardships faced by the working class, socialism and communism emerged. Karl Marx, a key thinker here, critiqued capitalism and envisioned a future where the proletariat would overthrow the bourgeoisie and create a classless society. Workers began to organize into labor unions to demand better wages, shorter hours, and safer conditions. This led to intense political struggles, with governments sometimes siding with factory owners and sometimes enacting reforms like banning child labor or expanding voting rights to working-class men. Now, let's pivot and talk about the continuities. What stayed the same despite all this revolutionary change? For one, even with the rise of the middle class, old power structures didn't just disappear overnight. The landed aristocracy, the traditional elites, still held significant social prestige and political influence in many parts of the world, especially in less industrialized nations like Russia or Japan in the early Meiji period. Their wealth was based on land, not factories, but that land still meant power. So, you had a mix of old and new elites coexisting and sometimes competing. Another key continuity was the persistence of peasant and agricultural labor. While cities grew, the majority of the world's population still lived in rural areas and worked in agriculture. Industrialization created a huge demand for food to feed the growing cities and raw materials for factories. So farming didn't go away. It just changed to serve the new industrial economy. Think of the guano from Peru used as fertilizer, or the palm oil from West Africa used as an industrial lubricant. The people producing these goods were often still engaged in traditional forms of labor, even if their work was now tied to a global industrial system. Patriarchy also proved to be a stubborn continuity. While the cult of domesticity was a new expression of gender roles, the underlying assumption of male dominance remained firmly in place across all social classes. Women were largely excluded from political life and had limited economic opportunities. Even the new movements for change, like labor unions, were often male-dominated and didn't always champion women's rights equally. The fight for women's suffrage and true gender equality was just beginning and would continue long after this period. Finally, let's consider global power dynamics. The Industrial Revolution created new industrial empires like Britain, Germany, and the United States. But the fundamental pattern of a few powerful states dominating many weaker regions continued. It just took on a new industrial form. Instead of just wanting luxury goods or colonies for prestige, industrial powers now sought raw materials for their factories and markets for their manufactured goods. This led to a new wave of imperialism in the late 19th century, which we cover in Unit 6. The core concept of a power hierarchy between different parts of the world remained, but it was now supercharged by industrial technology and economic needs. So, to recap, the industrial age brought seismic changes, created new economic systems, new social classes, new family structures, and new political ideologies. Urbanization and mass production transformed daily life for millions. However, it's crucial to remember the continuities. Old elites hung on to power. Agriculture remained central to the global economy. Patriarchal structures persisted, and the basic hierarchy of global power endured. Just in a new industrial guise, understanding this interplay between change and continuity is key to acing your AP exam. It shows the complexity of history and how the past is always present, even during a revolution. Thanks for watching. I hope this review of Unit 5, Topic 10 helps you put all the pieces together. Give the video a like, subscribe for more AP World content, and drop any questions you have in the comments below. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you in the next video when we tackle Unit 6.